Okay, so welcome back to the FPS series, and I have not been posting videos for a while, and that's why this video is going to be quite long, because I'm going to cover quite a lot of things in this one. And it's going to be part of the weapon switching and of course making our FPS look a bit better. We're going to start by creating a new interface, and the reason we're doing that is I just noticed in the shoot method we've got some messy code. It's just checking for tags, and tags are not very good when you want to identify an object. So I'm going to actually make this interface, and I'm going to remove the usings, and it's not allowed to actually inherit from anything, so we need to remove that as well. Just create a void damage function in there. Currently we only use the raycast to check for decals, like the stone decal things. So this can be actually used for decals. It will also be used for any other damageable objects, such as, you might have an enemy and he has the damageable interface. He's got it as he's actually hurting from it, and that way you can actually do that with just the same code. So you'll just see that in a bit. So you can see what I just did here. I created a script for the decal, and then I just I just wrote that interface adding a comma, and then I just implemented it, removed the start and the update merge function. So for the decal to actually work, what we need to do is we need to get a raycast hit as the hit info inside the damage function. And now we may have some errors. That's because the interface does not do that, so we're just going to paste that in the interface as well. Now it should stop. So after we have the hit info, we can actually do anything really. We could actually find the point and normal. So first we need a reference to the decal itself. Which decal? Right here we can write decal prefab. We're gonna spawn it once the damage function is hit. So we're using the damageable interface for spawning decals. We can also use it for actually damaging objects. So if we didn't have any damageable objects, we could do that. Right now we've got the raycast hit and it's passed in. We can take and instantiate a decal prefab, and we will instantiate the hit info points, and we're gonna do a look rotation. Turn on the look rotation. So we're going to simply give in the, let's just go down here and show the mess that we have got. You can see how there are multiple ifs checking for tags, and it's always a bad thing to check for tags. It's not good. I don't like it. But just for this quick start, I was actually using tags. So anyway, now we have this interface. We can delete that. Rather, let me just see here. So we actually do hit.normal. So you're gonna copy this, come here, and simply paste it in here. You're gonna get an error because it's not hit. It's hit info. Once that's done, all this is stripped. We need one more thing we need to do before we go. We need to get the game object reference to the instantiated object, and then simply say decal and set the parent. Transform, let's set parent. So we're gonna set it to the hit info.transform, so that if that object is actually moving, it could also be an enemy, couldn't it? And we were giving it a script of the flesh because, and then we can spawn that on his body or any other collider that we might have hit, and then we'll move with that enemy or whatever that is. So now back here in this physics raycast, you can see we can actually get this damageable or whatever. I'm gonna call it damageable. I'm gonna set it to I'm gonna set it to hit.transform.get component. I'm gonna get component of type damageable. The thing is, even though damageable is not actually a script or a component, but you can always get it because it's actually inherited in any of those. So now it won't, just to prevent the errors, we can simply check if damageable is not equal to null. Then that means we can actually call this damage and just pass in the hit. Now we can do a command to get the damageable, damage and interface. reference. So if there's any script there with this damageable interface implemented, then we're gonna actually have this not equal to null, and we'll simply call damage on it. And when that happens, that method is gonna trigger and it's gonna spawn the decal. And whatever else you could do, the interfaces are really good. So we just got another comment, so that's it. You can also just add one more comment, so just say damage. And you can see it's much cleaner now. We have the hit info passed in, and that's really good. Always do that. Now I've only done it for one actually. We only done it for the metal decal, so we can duplicate that, duplicate, and continuously duplicate it. You can rename this one to the stone decal. Even though you can actually do it with one script only, I just think it's a more cleaner way to do things. Instead of using one, we can use multiple so that the namings are good. Flash decal. Rename this one to wood decal, and we have got them all set up now. I know we're gonna get a bunch of errors because all of them are defining a class which is metal decal, and metal decal is originally defined in the metal decal script or mono behavior. We can just remove this on the wood decal and paste in wood instead. Save that, close the wood one, and just like that we'll do it for the rest. You can also remove all the usings and just leave the in the Unity engine. So yep, we've done them all for each of these. That's it. Now you can save all of these, and that's it. So we have done one thing already. We are now using an interface for damaging any object. It's really unlimited. Now let's actually add a tag, and we actually want to delete these tags. The stone issue is tags can't be deleted if they're being used by some object, so we need to actually get all of them with the tag metal, but I thought we could actually search it, but it won't. Anyway, now I know that in the environment we have all of these buildings and they're all tagged. Simply set them as untagged, untagged, and just let's select all of these, hit untagged. Rather, I think these two are already untagged, so let's just forget those. So we're gonna basically untag every single object that was actually tagged in the environment folder for decals. So just gonna do that. So we're done now, and I think we should be secure to actually start adding the scripts. component, and we're gonna add the stone decal script for the floor 1, floor 2, and 3 in the building. So it asks for the decal prefab, and that's actually going to be in the weapon effects and the prefabs. You can give in the stone decal. Now for these buildings, and I'll simply add them to every single environmental object that we have, which you can actually do yourself as well after seeing how I just did them. So I'm just going to select multiple and then add the same ones on each. So it's quite easy, and I'm just going to do all that. Alright, so we're done now, and you can see I can move around like I was able to before as well. And if I shoot, we have this jumbo effect, and that's because I actually chose big effects, so it's like raining. You can see that the sound effects are not that great, and all those dust effects aren't as good as they should have been. So you can see those odd effects on the sandstone, and I think it's also on the metal, so they all have the dust puff material, and that is not so good. You can see how bad that looks. So what I'm going to do is actually in the next video I'm going to do it myself, and then I'm just going to tell how to do it, because I don't want to actually do materials. This is not a series for that, but I will provide an overview of how to fix these properly in the next one after I fix it myself. But anyway, let's continue. So we have started using an damageable interface. We have already used these structural objects for us to be able to make multiple weapons and system like that. So we're gonna have multiple weapons, of course, and that's what we're actually working on currently. So firstly, I would like to add this to, I would like to actually tell you to add that package, and I'm gonna actually import it right now by searching for FPS icons. It's free, so you can simply add it to your assets. The FPS icon pack has almost all the icons you need for an FPS game, or even any other shooting game. It has tanks and grenades and all the weapons. So we can, I'm actually searching in the wrong place. I should go into the My Assets and paste it there. So here we are. So we already got those crosshairs. Now we need the FPS icons back. Well, let's import it. And right here you can see it's provided 4 different themes. I'm going to simply uncheck the light, orange and dark grey theme. I want to take the dark theme because I like the black color and it does better than the white one as well. And the orange is funny, so I'm just going to go with the dark one. Once that is imported, you will see a new folder, and it will contain 2 sprite sheets. So in the sprites folder, let's create a new folder, and we'll simply call this the weapons folder, or the weapon UI. Drag in the crosshairs in it, and then create a new folder, and inside it, call this folder the weapon icons. So now you can see it provides 2 sprite sheets. It's got all of the sprites. You can simply select them both and drag it into the weapon UI. Just gonna put the grenade one in outside because it's gonna be part of the grenade icons or item icons, and that's gonna be covered later on. So we will use these ones as well. Right now I remember we created a scriptable object, so we just delete this one. The original one's alright. Now in the animate, I can see we actually had a movement mask, so I think we don't need that. And we had actually enabled IK for some reason. I think I did that myself. I must be testing, yeah. Can actually put that on none mask. And yeah, so it doesn't cause that much difference. You can see the movement mask was just for testing. Now you can see how our weapon's really stable and doesn't actually rotate a lot, and makes it look very bad, and the feel of the game is bad. Anyway, let's just create a new layer called the pistol layer. We're gonna need that layer as well, so I'm just creating that as well. Remove the movement mask and remove the folder of the FPS icons. So I actually created these 2 as well, so let me just delete these because I don't think we need those either. And play capsule, it's almost, I mean, we don't really need that anymore. It was just for a quick start as well. Now, the center spline force actually holds the camera positions. We will be implementing Cinemachine in some other videos, because the Cinemachine actually has some nice impulse sources and things like that, so we could have a grenade, and of course we can use that for recoil as well. So the recoil can be for positioning the camera forward, backward. Anyway, so let's continue on the weapon scriptable object. Let's rename the fire rate by doing command RR and make a time between shot instead. I'm gonna create another sprite, and this sprite is going to be for the crosshair. With the crosshair sprite, so every weapon can actually choose the weapon which crosshair they want, which is a more nice, a more advanced system than previously. We only had a fixed crosshair which could not be modified, but in this video we're also gonna have the UI script to control all that. I wanted to separate the mechanic and the UI, so that's the reason why I'm gonna do that. If you go into the weapon script, we have the weapon SO for the weapon data, and the audio source reference we have the two ints rather for total ammo and the current ammo. Now if you select the weapons, let's just start by creating a new script, and this script is for our sway. Now sway is a really good way to actually make your game look more better in feel, and actually each game should have a good feeling when they're playing. Right now it looks too static, so I'm just gonna add this nice sway setting header. Gonna have a stylized field, and this is private. Gonna have a space at the top as well, and it's gonna be private, and this is gonna be the float for the smooth. In the update function, we're gonna get the mouse input. Now for that to happen, we actually need to have a float mouse X. We're gonna get component in parent, and we're gonna get component parent of type player controller, because the sway script must always be under the player controller script, otherwise it's gonna throw an error. And as we named it input, I'm pretty sure you can actually do dot input. It's actually public, so you can do input dot player and then dot look. You can access the look and read value of type vector2. We're gonna get the dot x. Similar for the mouse y. I'm gonna put this in mouse y. It's gonna be mouse y. Calculate the target rotation. So we're gonna have a quaternion, and that's gonna be the rotation x, and we're gonna set that to quaternion dot angle axis, and it rotates an angle around the axis. We're gonna give it minus mouse x, minus mouse y, and then vector 3. Right, so there you are. I copy that, paste, and we have rotation y. And for x, and the vector 3 dot up. We're gonna create a new quaternion. Target rotation equals rotation x multiplied by rotation y. We're gonna rotate the weapon, rather just rotate. We're gonna do transform local rotation and set it to the target rotate. Set it to slope. We're gonna do a slope, so quaternion dot slope, transform dot local rotation from the transform dot local rotation to the target rotation. Now it wants the smooth speed. We can simply do smooth multiplied by time dot delta. So that's, I think, it for the sway script, and now we should be able to get a sway effect after we use this script. To use it, simply create a new empty game object inside the gun holder. Empty game object inside the gun holder, and simply name it the gun sway. Drag in the AK-47 into the gun sway. So now the gun sway needs to actually have, well, actually we don't have a reference to the gun holder yet, so it's okay. Gun sway must be at 0, and then you must drag the AK-47 into. Add the sway strip to the gun sway object and hit the play button. Now we can actually modify the smooth during play, so you can see how static it is. If we put it to 2, you can see there is some sway going on, so there is something going on. Let's put it at 8. -3. I don't know why it was going in reverse. Well, let's put it at 6. I think we are doing some reverse something opposite. We're not doing something correctly, and I'm pretty sure what that is. Anyway, for the up and down is working correctly, but for right and left it isn't. So I think we are doing minus on one of the axes, which we are not supposed to. Well, inverting the smooth won't do anything because that's just the speed. Let's go back into the source script, and we actually have made a mistake here. If you look, the mouse X is the one rotating the Y, because mouse X means left and right, and to rotate it from the up axis is Y. So that's why mouse X has been inverted, which was not supposed to be done. I actually copied it, that's the reason why I forgot. Well, just set the smooth to something like 6, and you can see we have soil already. And it doesn't look bad, does it? It looks pretty good. Got some nice little soil. And so that actually gives your game some feeling. I'm gonna actually be adding head bob also in the next videos. Head bob is for creating a nice realistic walking and running and crouching effect, like you're actually moving. Anyway, let's go back into the weapon script. Let's create a new public variable, and this is going to be a particle system. It's going to be the muzzle flash effect. This way the script will hold the reference, and then the player is actually gonna take. We're gonna actually call play on this muzzle effect. Let's make a transform, a public transform. For the left hand IK transform. The reason why I'm making this one is because every weapon is not exactly the same. So the left hand IK has to be at different positions, which means that you will actually have to implement some things. But you can just follow me, and I will actually get you to the point where you will understand. We need to have a public transform mag parent, a public game object mag, and then go down to the player controller, player shooting. So right now we just do fire particle system. We can comment that out and simply do current weapon dot, and we're gonna have a reference to the muzzle flash effect dot play. That actually will fix our issue later on when we're gonna be having the weapon switching system completely ready. Right now we are still working on it, and we are fixing issues, making our game look better. So right now we don't need any of these values for the shooting. You can see hardly everything. Now the header shooting won't be visible, and that's why. That's because the next variable underneath it is private. That's how headers work, and that would mean that I need to put something underneath it which is actually serialized. I think I'm gonna simply select this ammo and do Command X and paste it below here. Delete that space and save the script. Close the Command F thingy. So you're already getting an error, and that's because now I have removed the references for the time between shot. And if you remember, we actually defined a field inside the current weapon dates and the time between shot. We actually never remember to change this thing here, and we never deleted it in this script, and that's why the issue never came up. But now we did it, so each weapon can have its own time between shot, and that's really in real seconds time between shot. And you can see I had this comment here. Well, it's gonna actually go in, I think, 1000 lines at the end of this long tutorial series. Well, right now it's just 495, so that's alright. Well, let's close the play controller script and get back into the weapon script. We've got all the transforms and the game object for the mag. Now this is going to come in use when you're going to actually have realistic reloading systems, and I'm going to do that in almost, it's coming, I mean, this is all going to happen in but right now we need to focus on the other things right now. So let's just add a header, references, and have a space as well. So the weapon strip needs to handle the recoil system as well. Firstly, we need to do is hit in the just have to close space. We need to have a new, I think, command, and that's going to be for the rotation, and this is for the recoil. So when you see me shoot, it's not actually making any game feeling better. Makes it look really static. So for making that better, we can actually add a command up, recoil, rotation, and simply define a private vector 3 for the current rotation, another vector 3 for the target rotation, and after that is done, we can actually create a new command, and this command is for the settings header, and this is for the recoil settings. Add a space up there, make a public bool, enable recoil. This is actually going to be modified when we're going to be swapping weapons, like pick up a weapon from the ground and put the other one there. That would kind of mean we need to turn this off, because if we don't, the local rotation is going to become 0, 0, 0, and that will make our weapon look odd when it's not actually supposed to be at that rotation. So we make a serialized field, and that's a private float, recoil, and this is going to be for recoil X. We'll have one from the private float recoil Y. We're going to have one for the recoil Z as well. Then we're going to have another serialized field, and this private float is actually not right now. I think we need to have an update function first. Let's actually create a float before that, and we're gonna have the snappiness. So the private float snappiness. So let's field private. We need to write the correct name. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna call this the return speed. Another one for the float. This is going to be for the recoil. Float. And this is for the snappiness. Yep, snappiness. So we're gonna actually have to write some code for the recoil. So for that to work, we need to do an update. We're gonna check if enable recoil. So if enable recoil is equal true, then only we're gonna do all this code inside this if. So let's see what we can do. We're gonna do target rotation equals vector3.lerp. We're gonna lerp from the target rotation to our vector3.0. So it's always going to be trying to get to 0 and to return the speed multiplied by time.delta. The current rotation is going to be vector3.slurp, and we're going to slurp from the current rotation again, but this time to the target rotation. And this is for the snappiness speed multiplied by time, delta time. Then we're going to modify the transform.local rotation equals our quaternion.euler, and we'll pass in the current rotation vector 3. That's it. Now, for actually getting the recoil fire to actually happen, we need to have a public function which is going to be called from our player controller script. So we can make a public void. This is going to be recoil. So recoil, we can simply say player recoil. Alright, so player the recoil effect. We're going to set target rotation equals new vector 3, and in this vector 3 we can simply pass in recoil x, and we're not gonna change anything in that. We're just gonna keep it recoil x. Then we'll pass in a random dot range, so we can have a more procedural effect. Random dot range from minus recoil y, and from the minus recoil y we're gonna go to the recoil y. So we're gonna have a range type of a thing. It's just gonna randomly generate that number. Then we're gonna do the same thing for the z. That way it won't look the exact same effect as just repeating, so that will give a better feel again to our game. You can simply write comment, and we're gonna say set the target rotation to the recoil calculation. Secondly, we can do another comment up here. Check if enable recoil. Lerp the target rotation to 0. And slurp the current rotation to the target rotation. And then finally apply the rotation to the transform. Add a summary to this method here. Summarize it. Place the recoil on the weapon. Now let's go to the player controller script and start actually calling this function, the player recoil function, inside the in the shoot. We're just gonna play the recoil. So current weapon dot player recoil, and that's it. So all of these are current weapon, and they just do all the things we need to do. Now we can add another comment up here. Check if we hit something in the weapon SO. We can copy this float and paste it. I think let's just paste it here and rename it, and we can call this one max shoot range. So before we were having a math of infinity on the physics raycast, but this time we can actually have a max shoot range. We can remove the math of infinity and do current weapon dot weapon data dot max shoot range, and this is actually gonna be in meters. That's the base units of unity, meters. The AK-47 SO, we just rename that one to AK with the K bigger and say AK-47 weapon SO. Short for AK was weapon as to object. We can set the max shooting range to something like, well, I'll actually just show how long meters can actually go. So let's just delete this, create a cube. Remove the sphere and the cube, and actually one by one, so you can see how long weapon could only shoot if we actually set it to 1. Now increasing the size, we get 13, and just like that it's gonna all increase. I think we can set this to 200, or even 100 is okay. Let's have a look. If you put this right up there, you can see how long his weapon can shoot. So 100 does seem good. 200 does seem, well, that seems quite long. So we could actually go 200 or 100, it doesn't really matter. Depends on what you want. And I'm just gonna set it for max shoot range to 200, and time between shot, well, I'm not sure right now how much an AK-47 could fire. I'm gonna do that in the next one. I'll just show I'll just show the number I wrote. So right now let's just duplicate the weapons sprite sheet and call it the AK-47 icon. Now because we have not downloaded this 2D sprite from the package manager, we don't have any AK-47. Actually, we can't edit in the sprite editor. Just go into the registry and search for sprite. We have the 2D sprite. Install it. It actually provides with the Unity sprite. It actually provides you with the sprite editor window and quite a lot of sprites for your UI, which is really good. Now our sprite editor is coming up. Let's make it big. You can see multiple squares have been formed. Now this is the only weapon we actually want, so let's just do Command D, or if you are on a Windows, you can, I think it should work by just hitting D, or delete I mean. So I'm just doing Command delete, Command delete, Command delete to delete each one of them which we don't want, and only leave the one which we want as a small square. Hitting apply, it should apply it, and then we can actually rename this thing to AK-47 icon. Now it's just doing package manager apply, and I can save as well, Command S. So you can see how it actually moved all the rest of the icons and just gave me an AK-47 icon. So now let's just get here to the canvas, go to 2D mode. So in the canvas I can see we have some poor UI here. It doesn't look that great, so I'm just going to delete the background firstly, and I think that we should actually have one only, so one ammo text only, not two of these. So we actually have current ammo and total ammo, which is not that great. So what I'm going to do is rename the total ammo text to ammo text. It's going to actually display both. First I'm going to delete the other one, and now I can save. Select the ammo text, you can see it has the text. Then on the AK-47 icon, I forgot to enable the recoil. Setting up the total ammos, so I'll just set it to in the player controller script, you actually set it to the magazine, so it's not that great. Just delete that. It should already be set up, which means the current ammo should be set to 30 on its own. Or rather, just go here first and set the magazine size to 30. Then go back into the AK-47, set it to 30. And total ammo to 100. The recoil X and recoil Y and Z, so all of these have not been assigned. I'm going to set the X to 4 and the Y and Z to 0.5, 0.5, snappiness to 16 and return speed to 22. Now I need to assign all these. We can't actually assign the mag because we don't have a mag yet. We will have it when we actually use the Pro Builder to separate the meshes, but currently we don't. So I'm going to create an empty game object inside the AK-47, create a left-hand IK transform, empty game object, and now let's just get back to the ammo text. Set the width and height to 0, disable the wrapping. Let's just give it position of 150 and 100. I know that basically in the start it should be 30 and 100 because that's what I set it up as. Then the color should be black, and finally I'm gonna set them in the center. Should be, yes, so that's what I did. Save again. I'm gonna set it as bold. There you are, bold. You can see we have a missing one, so let's go into play controller and the shooting place. We're gonna delete the count ammo and rename this one by just putting it as ammo text. We're gonna get an error. You can select it to get to it, and we have this display ammo method. In here we are going to just remove that and give a new GUI. Alright, so now we actually need to remove the current and make it ammo text. I'm gonna actually remove all of that, and we're gonna give in the current weapon current ammo first. We're going to add a slash on it as well. So text, string field, and a slash with 2 spaces on the side, and then add in the current weapon or total ammo. And then just do .toString, which I usually add after any of the text modifications. So once that's done, we should have no more errors, and we just want an ammo text reference. Let's drag that. If we hit play, you'll see how the ammo is now working, and it looks way better than the previous one. However, there's an issue with the recoil, I think. Well, before that we have the smooth issue, so set that to 8. And in the AK-47, we should have kept it as -4, because right now the recoil is going downwards, so -4 will work. And then I think 1.5 on both of these looks good. Set the time to 0.1, and for the AK-47 recoil again, let's just put these both on 1.5. I think 1 is good. And this can be -6. So now we have some nice recoil, some sway, and we're gonna actually modify many other things in this video. I can make that all, and we never actually go in minus, which is very good. Now you can see that issue. If you aim and you get back out of aim, it's just not looking that great. And I actually did some things while I didn't show that. So the left-hand IK is a full transform rotation script, and it's following the AK-47, which is not actually the perfect fix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to do it properly while I'm recording this video. And that's why we actually created that left-hand IK transform thing. In the left hand IK target, you have to actually remove this, given the follow transform rotation script, and then drag in this reference instead, which I quite forgot when I was doing it myself. Now, because the left hand IK is offset, let me just make the gizmos smaller a bit so that it just stop blocking us, making it look bad. Now for the left hand IK, copy the muzzle flash effects position and paste it in the left hand IK. And then simply I'm going to drag it where I think it should work. I'm going to actually modify this in play as well. And then copy and paste the components multiple times. So let's see. Now you can see an issue already, is that our left hand IK transform is only providing the rotations, not the position, and that's why it's following something else, like it's just following itself. Originally it's not positioned correctly. It would mean that I need to position myself, but because each weapon has a different position and altogether that won't work. I cannot modify the rotation because that's actually following the left hand. I can actually modify the rotation with this offset thingy, or I could also modify the left hand IK itself. So I'm currently just really having some testing here. You don't need to follow me, just wait until I'm done with this. Well, that was just an attempt. Anyway, we need to add the follow transform position as well. So we need to have both these scripts enabled, and anyway, it looks like I actually removed the offset from it. Well, I need to add that back. Follow transform position should have an offset field as well, serialized field. It's private vector 3 offset, and it's only gonna add it in there. Add and offset. Now we have the offset as well, but we won't be using it for this one as well. Now if you look at the left hand IK, it's not properly placed as always, and you can rotate it using these offset things. Let's set that to -90. Maybe we shouldn't modify it, but anyway, let's see. We can get to the point where it actually works. Actually, we're supposed to modify this thing, actually. Oh yes, so this is way easier than that. Just position it correctly, and that's it. Now in here, if you see, we actually modified those rotation. The script already manages that, so I think we can actually rotate this now. So let's just set this back to 0. Well, I haven't set it. I'm not sure, but I need to set it to 0. Well, by using this offset system, we can actually create a good offset. So we're gonna have to modify the target diagonally, and that's a way better idea than modifying these values actually. Come on. I wonder when I'm gonna actually put this to 0. Well, I think I'm now out of it. The offset actually doesn't need to be there because this thing can actually modify the rotation on its own. Let's just set that back to 0. Been wasting time already. rotate this thing here, then flip it around, and perfect. That's it. That was pretty easy. Way easier than what I was doing previously. Now I can try to position it perfectly where it looks the best. Just position it there. That should do it. Let's just rotate it like this. Try to get the best position for it. So while I'm doing that, you can do that as well. Just position it as good as you can. That should be it. You don't need to watch me the whole time. You just need to modify it and get the perfect view which you think is perfect for your needs, and that's it. So I think I found the perfect position, almost there. I'm just getting too much stretch which I'm not liking here. I'm just gonna drag it a little up, and I'll rotate it back to its place. So it's been a long time just trying to modify this to perfection. Well, that's it, I think. Now I can copy the component. So I've already selected it. All I have to do next is, first, it's still not done. Yeah, so that's it. So copy this component and then get out of play mode and paste it in this again, and that's it. Save. So we have that done. I'm gonna create a custom script for following the position and rotation. For that, we're going to first save and test it out again. You can see now that it's following that perfectly well, and the recoil and everything actually goes more realistically, and that looks good. Now let's modify it. Let's. You can see this issue here, so it just doesn't look good. So because the animations are different, there's an issue as well that's come up, and that issue is the hand is closed and that one is open in this one. So what we can do is we can only stay in the aiming animation forever, which kind of means we need to right click on this one and delete it. First we can set this one as the default state, the aiming, and remove this one. That way this is the boss one, it's always going to be in the aiming state, which all the FPS game do, because you can't actually have a hip fire. It's all aiming, and the head's there, and then the head's there, that's all. And the rest is already set up in the animator. Now I actually found that we're using a boolean for the jumping, even though it's a better idea to use a trigger. But let's just see how this looks now. So yes, we start off with a bug, and then when we aim, we're back in the correct position. Well, to fix that, we need to go into center sprite position, and the aiming and not aiming need to be exactly the same. Let's copy the camera holder not aiming. Copy the camera holder aiming and paste in the camera holder not aiming. Let's put the X at 0, and for this one also put the X at 0. And now what we're going to do is we can actually position the gun holder again. because I found out that it should be actually pointing exactly straight direction of the camera. As you can see, this is a small issue. Select the AK-47. You can see how it's a little bit rotated. Camera holder aiming is pointing a little below. You can actually do copy, transform and paste it into the gun holder. And once that's done, just position it using the local axis because we don't want to mess the rotations. Almost done. See how this is also messed up. That's it really. But now it's pointing exactly straight. And once that's done, we can actually select the gun holder. Which already selected it. So let's copy the gun holder component and paste it. And let's see the difference. We're going to modify the camera holder aiming to position correctly. You're going to copy the gun holder's word transform and paste it into the camera holder aiming. But so you can see the aiming has now positioned it on the gun holder's position. You can drag it correctly. So we have got sway as well as some recoil there. You just copy the camera holder aiming and paste it again after coming out of play mode. And for the not aiming, paste the same one as the camera holder aiming. So we're going to modify the not aiming one. Selecting the camera holder not aiming and simply drag it a little bit on the left. We're going to drag it behind. Camera holder not aiming, just let's drag it a little behind. Something like that. So we have first person view when not aiming. See a nice smooth transition as well. Now the rotation is incorrect. You can see how the camera is a bit on that side, but the weapon, no, I think it's the same. Let me just check it out. I think it's same, yeah. It looks pretty accurate. So the camera should always match the gun's direction, or the gun should match the camera's direction, which is how I've set it up here. So I'm just going to position it where I think it's good. And that should do it. I should copy component, get out of play mode, paste component values. Go back into play mode again. And now we can see the left hand is not positioned correctly. Let's just set it all to 0 again. And see, oh. Well, I was trying to hold command. Let's just position it correctly now. So I'm going to modify the Z-axis to -90. And the Y-axis, that's not helping out here. Let me just rotate it a little bit more so you can see the values. I'm just going to reset them back to 0 again. I think it works in the world space z-axis and axis. It does not work on the local axis, so let's put 90 on the x. No, well, I'm just gonna, yes, so you can see minus 90 on z and minus 90 on x has done it. Let's drag it, well, no, let's just drag it here. Put the minus 0.5 at x, 0.3 on the z. Now let's rotate it a little bit using the command or control key, so that looks pretty nice. Yeah. Let's switch to global axis and position it. So now it looks pretty good here. Position a little behind so it catches from the edge. So I'm almost done now. Positioning the left hand IK and drag it a little higher. Rotate, no, just a little bit so we can get accurate. Maybe on the left a bit. So I'm just going to position it as I like, so you can do the same. Position it where it looks best. And now you can see how, because of the, oh, that's not looking good at all. Drag it a little lower. So that's okay, I think. Let me copy the component. And yeah, that looks good. Alright. You can reload the weapon. And now, as I've copied the left hand IK transform, I think I should. The effects are not that good if you look at that. That's because the dust puff particle has been modified by us. I'm gonna fix that on my own, but I'll tell you how to do it. Our UI is alright. We've got the decals projecting correctly as well. So yeah, we've got shadows as well. And now let me just copy the component in the left hand IK transform, paste it into. So because we have these two strips, I think we can combine them into one, as it only follows the same target. So I'm right now going to create a new one. C# strip, yes, and call this one a follow transform. And as a short form, we're gonna write pos and rods, so that's for the rotation. Let's get here into the editor, and in our follow transform pos and rods, the follow transform rotation and position, we declare a private transform, serialize it, and it's gonna be called target. Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. So it's going to be the target. We're going to follow its rotation and position every update. Transform the position equals transform target dot position. Let's write transform the rotation equals target dot rotation. You can do Command S or Control S, and that will cause Unity to reload strips. It is currently raining in here, and that's why there's a lot of noise. Anyway, let's continue. So we have follow transform position and rotation with the target assigned, but I think we should make it public because we will be needing this as a reference afterwards. Alright, So now we have the multiple scripts here for just following, and we have this SO which is requiring sprites here. It's asking for the weapon. Let's start by creating a new script. We're going to create a new script as player UI, so this is going to handle all player UI or player HUD, you can say. I would like to keep the play controller different from the UI, so that's why I would go by creating a different script file. First, I'll remove this so we can see all the errors, which we actually won't have because we should have. Yeah, here it is. So the ammo text has to be modified using this script, which means we also need to have a reference to the player controller script. Now, in the start, we can write player controller equals get component player controller. We're gonna do a private void handle UI. For now, we can just call that way. Alright, so now let's go in here, copy that by doing Command X, paste it in here. We also got the using TM Pro automatically. Once we pasted Text Mesh Pro, you can create a header, and this is going to be for the ammo. Well, I think we could have got a better name than that, but let's add a space. Save the player controller and save the player UI. So now that we have the reference to player controller, we can actually set ammo text player controller dot current weapon, which we currently don't have. So I'm just gonna name it that way. Dot current ammo. What we're going to do is we're going to say weapon current weapon equals player controller dot current weapon, and once that happens we have a reference. Now we just need a method to actually return that. A new method, a new region. And in that region we're going to define a public, and this is going to be type of weapon. We're going to pass in the current weapon, the same name, but C has to be big, otherwise we'll have errors. Once we have that method, we're just going to return the current weapon. And now let's go back to player UI. We forgot, let's make the C bigger, and here we can now use the reference we just created. It's current weapon dot current ammo plus the current weapon, rather just add a slash first and add a current weapon dot total ammo. So we're gonna get an error because, well, I actually like to do that dot to string, but we actually need to do dot text because the ammo text actually has multiple fields, and that's why we have specific. Let's just add some comments. Now I would call this something like ammo, but I think we can call this weapon, because there are going to be two more variables. One is for a sprite, both of them are sprites, and one is for the weapon icon, and the other one is for the crosshair icon. So I'm going to look. Oh, we got an error here. What's that error saying? It must be something to do with it. So I think it's a player shooting. Down here we have this method defined. We just need to delete that. We can also delete the display ammo from the update. That should do it. So let's just add a comment here. Check. Check sphere for near ground. Check. Now we have pretty clean coding here. All the private variables for the shooting. We don't have any serialized variables except for one. So I'm gonna find the crosshair. I suppose we deleted it, which I can't find. It should be in the shooting. Anyway, we deleted it, I think. Let's define private game object. That's going to be for the crosshair. And this is going to be crosshair game object, so we're going to keep that specific. We're going to paste it right on the top. Keep that there. Save the script. In the player shooting method, we've got everything we need. And in the aim, we have the dot trigger set up. Now let's do it if is aiming. So in the handle aiming function, rather inside this one, so we can change it only when the thing is triggered. If we are aiming, let's just toggle this thing. I think we can put this outside. Check if we are aiming and check for input aim. Now we can set crosshair UI game object dot set active, and if we are aiming, well, we just add the else. So if you are aiming, it should be false, meaning if you are aiming, you should not see the crosshair. So we're gonna set it active. What is aiming is not. Rather, I just found a better idea. Just call this thing. So this means this line of code. It means that if the is aiming is false, it's gonna actually set it as active, meaning that will be true. So crosshair UI will be visible only when we're not aiming, and when we are, it's going to become true, so it's going to pass in true. When we are not aiming only, when we are aiming, it's going to pass in false, meaning it's going to turn it off. So player UI should assign the references and more text. Let's just create a new UI image. I'll call this one weapon icon, and then as you can see, we don't have, let's drag in the references, which is not going to happen easily because the weapon icon and crosshair icons are supposed to be images, not sprites. So let's just call that image, paste it in here, and let's just say using Unity engine dot UI. Put that on top. Now just going to reload the scripts, and you'll see we can assign them as we want because they're all images, weapon icon and the crosshair icon. So we can do Command S to save and Control S, and now let's just delete this one as I did by mistake. Now let me just pass in the correct crosshair image, and that should do it. We're not actually doing anything with the weapon icon yet. Let's just call this a crosshair image, and this one also a crosshair image. Now in the handle weapon, we're just going to rename that one to handle weapon UI because this is the weapon UI. You may have other UIs as well. Now let's say ammo. Above we can do weapon image dot sprite is set. So let's set it to the current. Now the thing is, we have to actually get it from there. So maybe we can actually get the reference on top and then simply use it for all the code inside the hand weapon UI. Let's put it on top. You can have a reference to the current weapon dot weapon data dot crosshair, rather the weapon icon sprite. For the crosshair image, you're going to do crosshair image dot sprite, and just you can set it to the current weapon dot weapon data and the crosshair sprite. That will be correctly set. Let's just add another comment up here. Let's save and come back to Unity. So let's just close all these. We don't need to keep them open anymore, but we need to assign these two sprites, otherwise we'll get errors. Let's pass in the icon for the AK-47 weapon, and for the crosshair we need to assign it here. So I think we'll go with this one here, I don't know. So I'm just gonna go with the second one. And on the crosshair we're going to set it to the third one, so it's going to be visible to us that's changing, except for something happened here. Yeah, so he's not positioned the weapon icon yet. Let's put this pivot on the bottom left by doing shift and then click bottom left, and put the width of 120 and 300, rather 120 and 30, and then position it 49, and I think 179. Well, that didn't position it correctly. Let's do shift and hold, so now we have a better view. And when you shift, you actually get its pivot on the corner as well. So now let's try 49 and 179. Well, this still doesn't position it correctly. Let's just bring it on the right. Well, now we set the pivot actually. 49. Come on. Keep that in the center. So this has to be 110, and this one has to be 190. I'll modify that. Copy that. Let me just position the M6 rather. Mini. Below it. Yeah. 70 does it. And now we have the weapon icon. Just to move it down, let's just drag in the AK-47 icon, and that should do it. Should we move it down? I think we'll keep it above. So 180. So now we can press the play button, and we should see we get an error. So we have not assigned the crosshair game object. On the, well, it lost those references as well. Now on the player controller, it was requesting for a crosshair game object, which is also missing. Let's drag in the crosshair itself. Now, if you look in the player controller, play model, we have been doing this get component children, but I don't like to do that. I would rather get a fixed, fixed reference. and I've been using this audio source as well, which is not great. You should simply call the actually. But basically, we have the audio source thing here. You can see this thing. It's actually always available, and you can play clip at point on it. It will ask for the transform the position and the volume. I think it also asks for, well, transform the position, and it's asking for the audio clip. It's asking for the audio clip first, then the position. So foot audio clip, and then I would like to pass in the volume, which is 1.0f. Can remove that bad code. Play the foot audio clip. Now in play reload sound, we actually are doing this bad code again. So we're calling get component instrument, and I don't like that. We should be doing something else, because now the player controller actually returns that weapon which we currently have. We're gonna have multiple weapons, then this get component show is gonna get the first one, which could not always be the one which our player is holding originally. So we will end up having trouble at that time. So I'm gonna go with get component in parent. I think we can say dot current weapon, dot audio source, dot play, one shot, and now we can pass in the reload audio clip. Pass in one as the volume, copy that, paste it in here. Magging out, we need to pass in the magging out clip. So we can read that code, but we should actually do it on start, and we should not actually call the get component parent multiple times. So I'm going to define a parent player controller as a reference, and on the start we're going to do player controller is equals get component in parent, and that's going to be player controller. And now we don't do that, we can simply do player controller. Now we have done Command S or Control S if you're on Windows. Once you save that, we can come here. Let's focus on the player. And let's change the gizmo size. Fade the gizmos or whatever. I should go with some small size. That we can still see the audio sources, and the rest bone renderer is visible as well. Now let's save. I think we should actually change the standing height, because it doesn't look like that's matching correctly. Standing center Y can be 0.9 and standing height can be 1.8, so that's going to do it automatically on play. You can see how it gets perfect in the bounce. That's good. Now we can shoot just like we were able to, and this popsicle thing, so it's happening with every other effect as well. So in this video we actually implemented sway, recoil, and many other things. Fixed some issues as well. It's about 1 hour 40 minutes almost to this video, but as we had to do quite a lot, you can see we need to define a new transform, and that's going to be the fire point. So let's call that the fire point. So what I'm going to do is, when we're checking if you're aiming, so we need to actually let me just close that. In the shoot we can do the check rather. No, I think we should change it in the handle shooting. So hit recall shoot, And the flare cameras transform the position, and the flare cameras transform forward. Let's duplicate that, but let's add an if is aiming. Rather, first we need to have a reference, but we simply copy that. So if is aiming, and then we want to shoot, well, from the fire point. Else we'll shoot from the camera fire point, which is basically the center of the screen. Shoot from the camera. And shoot from the weapon's fire point. So we're not done that yet. But it's quite easy to do that. And let's check if we are aiming. Instead of play camera, we can write current weapon dot fire point dot transform dot forward, and same here. That should do it now. So if you're going to be aiming, we're going to shoot from the fire point, and if you're not aiming, we're going to shoot from the center of the screen. Before we go and play, we need to assign the fire point, as it's not assigned yet. So we do an empty game object and call this the fire point. Let's copy the muzzle flash effects transform position and paste it on this one. Let's set it to local so we can see the forward is pointing where we want it. Right from the barrel, you can see. Should drag it a little behind though. And now, did we assign it? Well, no, we didn't. Let's just assign it. These are something we do later. Just make one mag parent, just so that we can assign it. Now we can save and press the play button. So to save, you can do Command this or Control S, and we can shoot as always. Make these effects. Shoot, and you will notice how the crosshair is actually going and coming when we are aiming or not aiming. And if we aim, we can see a little difference with actually shooting it's a little bit above, I think. And you can see the biggest issue, we have not fixed clipping yet. All the locomotion setup, but looks like we're actually doing something funny here. But anyway, so you can see this problem here. And it's because the crouching animation is not the one we will actually take. So I'm going to actually have, before I do that, let me just fix this bullet impacts so you can see how it doesn't work well. And it's because actually the universal in the pipeline was not supposed to be converted to the universal render pipeline. Because we did it that way, does become that. Doing that won't help, but so basically what I'm going to do after this video finishes to fix this dustbuff particle, I'm going to re-import the particle pack which we got the dustbuff particle from, and then instead of, because the thing is the dustbuff particle was already alright, but because we selected them all, we actually modified this one, which was not good. The dustbuff particle uses some shader graph which already supports the universal render pipeline. So we weren't supposed to modify the dustbuff particle, but because we did, we had the issue. Now let's just fix this height thing. Center 0.9, the height can be 1.8. Same as what we are actually gonna assign when the play button's hit. Now we can save, and if you're in this folder, you can close all of this. Do Option and left arrow, or you can do Alt and left arrow to close everything by selecting the assets main folder. That's how we do in the sample scene, or any other folder, and that's how it works. So that should be the end of this video. Just gonna do some more things here. So you can see, done with this one. Weapon. So now let me just fix the animation thing. I actually imported a new crouching idle animation, and you will be able to see how it looks. So you can see this one he's aiming, but in this one he's actually holding it like an axe. So on Mixamo there was an animation where a guy is actually holding an axe, but he's in crouching idle. We're not gonna give him an axe, of course, but it looks better than the previous one, and it's gonna fix that issue when we are looking down and going the legs. So yeah, we're gonna use this animation instead. This one is not good, and it actually hits the legs when we are looking down, but I can delete that one. Save, go into the animated component in the base layer. You can see you have this jumping. This is dumb. You should have used a trigger, right? So let's just call this a jump. Move that boolean and let's put it on the jump trigger. Let's go back here. We don't need this animator anymore, but before we do that, let me just comment that out. Say play animator.set trigger. So it's a quick fix, and that's going to be set trigger jump. And now if we hit the play button, we should actually see everything working the same as previously. If I press the spacebar, yes, same. And as always, we can shoot. All those effects are working. Pick up everything we want. So it's gone with progress by now. We're going to be adding a reload system whereby the left hand will always position correctly, and the mag will actually fall on the ground. And we'll still need to add some more weapons like a pistol, and we have some more videos that will have to come. I'm gonna do a full series, right? Yeah. Now we can remove that enumerator. Currently use the smooth down function, but I think it's alright, so let's save it. And here we have the smooth input speed, set it to 0.3 and see what happens. And let's change it from here to 0.3 as well. This is also an issue. If you look at this, left stick should not be done like that way, and we should delete this up down left thing. We should actually call this keyboard, because we can actually add multiple bindings here. So we can duplicate this one and then drag them all. Command Z or Control Z. So for up we can set up arrow, so we now have double bindings, and for down we can set down arrow, left we can set it as left arrow, finally for right we can set right arrow. So you can see that in one up down left right composite we can actually add multiple instead of making two of them. I'll drag all the arrow keys down and that should do it. So we will need a new up down left right composite for the GamePad, because the thing is our animation does not support completely analog. Our blend tree will not support that well, so let's just put it on the GamePad. For up we can go with GamePad up, for down we can go with GamePad down on the left stick. For left we can go with GamePad left on the left stick. For right, finally we can go with right on the left stick. This way it's gonna be like digital, so let's just change that to digital as well. We can now the reason why I'm doing this is the blend tree actually blends between going right and then going behind and right. So if it actually comes anywhere between there, so it will give odd effects. But now we can save the asset, and that should fix the problem for the GamePad analog rotations, movements problem that was occurring before. So now for the GamePad also, which I currently am using, I can look here using my mouse, and we have actually done this video almost. Just another minute. Let's see what happens in 0.1. Alright, so that's better. Is it? 0.1 is better, so let's just copy that, paste it in here, save. So one more thing is, we have in the animated component on the crouching, you should actually change it yourself. So the crouching idle, or the blend tree that we made for crouching, the idle animation, you need to set it to the correct one, which we actually showed you, which I imported newly. So that's all you have to do on your own, and that's going to be the end of this video. See you in the next one.